and we are recording.
Okay, thank you so much. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Tips for Teaching in the Remote Classroom. Shelley and I are thrilled to be here and share some ideas with you today. My name is Christy LaFleur, and I'm a National Curriculum Math Specialist for McGraw-Hill Education. And with me is my esteemed colleague, Shelley. So, Shelley, I'll let you say hi.
Hi there. I'm coming to you from St. Petersburg, Florida.
So we're thrilled to be here, and we want to share with you just some ideas. We want to share with you maybe some of the key pieces that you can remotely assign to your students and help just make things a little easier in your classroom. This has all been an adjustment for all of us. I think about classrooms and I think about math instruction 100, 130 years ago. This is perhaps what the classroom looked like. And then up till about maybe 3 weeks ago, this is what many of our classrooms look like here. And now, all of a sudden, this is what we see. We have our students individually, virtually, remotely learning on their own. And how can we really assure that our students can still stay connected? So that's what we want to talk to you about. And I'm sure many of you, just like myself, I've been reading up on virtual learning and remote learning. And I found this article, I think it was in EduWeek, and it was from a principal. And basically, one thing that he wrote was the fact that this quote right here that says, "As I reflect back on this past week of virtual learning, the most important thing I've learned is students need to feel connected to their teacher, to their principal. It's just crucial to establish this early and frequently so that they can get through this COVID-19 pandemic together. We must work hard to maintain relationships, even though it's at a distance. So we want to stay positive through this challenging time, and most importantly, stay supportive." So we just really want to show you guys how you can stay connected through Reveal Math and McGraw-Hill. So with that being said, Shelley, I'm going to let you take it over and talk about ways that we can stay connected through our LearnSmart.
Okay, so I'm going to have you, because I won't be able to page through the slides, so if you'll just kind of move through. The first thing that I want to talk to you about, so we're going to go in depth. We're going to go online, and we're going to actually show you the slides and how to do this online. But I wanted to tell you a little bit about LearnSmart. LearnSmart is a resource that you guys have. It is a great resource for really being able to let kids just study the big ideas of mathematics. So there's not like a one-to-one correlation where you would say, oh, so this goes with lesson 3.7 or that goes with 4.2. These are more looking at the big, broad, general topics that we talk about in mathematics. And I like to use this for kind of an end-of-course assessment practice. What's great about this is that it individualizes for every single student in the classroom. And we're going to show you how you can assign this to students live. You'll notice that there's a coach that's showing up there, and she just kind of walks them through exactly the whole process of going through. So here's the 5 big ideas that are in Algebra 1, and then students get some choice, and that's why people really, really like this. So in this, they get to choose their learning missions. So in this case, you see that they can choose to complete a main topic, focus on their own self-awareness, work on it for 20 minutes at a time, which is probably a good thing to do at this time, or that they can complete an assignment that you have made to them. And that's what we're going to show you is how you can make those assignments inside there. But kids can get in and just kind of be working on their own learning mission. This is just a little bit of a video showing the different types of questions that kids will see. And you'll notice as each question is answered, the students are indicating their confidence level across the bottom, and then there are also some suggested resources that show up over on the side. It is constantly adapting to the students. So no two students are going to have the same experience inside LearnSmart, and that's part of what makes it a pretty exciting tool to be able to use during this kind of unique situation that we have right now. So this is something that's not really meant to take the place of instruction, but it's meant to provide some personalized practice for every single student, and there are some reteaching resources that show up inside here. So these actually pop up on the side, but then there are also resources that the students can get to if they need to have those. So we'll be showing you exactly how you can assign LearnSmart to your students in your class, because it has some amazing reports for students. They can focus on their own scores, their most missed questions, their own self-awareness as they're going through. So go ahead and click for me, Christy. When we look at their own self-awareness, the top number there is the one that we want to be the highest number. That's telling you that the students are getting the answers correct and they're confident in their learning. So notice we're always looking at how correct, how quick, and how confidently they're answering questions. And so this report it really is a metacognitive report and gives some great details. And I do want to say before we switch from this slide, Christy, if you see where it says unaware that you knew the answer, and we've got that 0%, those are I would say your most timid learners. Those are the kids that used to come to you all the time and say, did I get this right? Did I get this right? So what we want to tell them instead is you're getting the right answers. And so when you get in there, you click it and you click, I know it, and have that confidence that's there. So it really is great at building confidence. And you'll also see on the left-hand side there that there's a tree of knowledge where they can watch their knowledge kind of growing throughout the year. And then they can also do individualized little practice quizzes. And I like to call those are like flashcards. You know, we used to have kids make flashcards and they would have to say, okay, I know this or I don't know this. And they had to make that decision. In this case, LearnSmart's making that decision and saying, yes, you know this, or yes, you need to practice this a little bit more. So it's a great tool for that. Go ahead and click for me, Christy.
Yes, ma'am.
And so you'll see with the practice quizzes that the kids can actually, they pick what section they want to have a little practice quiz at. They choose the number of questions. And what's really cool about this, you could tell your students to go in, do a practice quiz that's specialized to what they need to work on, and then they could just take a screenshot of their results and send it right to you. It makes it really super easy to customize, to make little custom assignments for the kids to do. So next slide. And so you'll get all kinds of great reports. You'll know how they're doing in each one of those areas. You can kind of track their progress as you go through. Go ahead and click. And so you'll see how much time they're spending in there, how much progress they're making in each one of those areas that's there. So it's a good way to kind of, tell your kids, hey, I'd like for you to be in LearnSmart for about 15 minutes, even if it's just 15 minutes a week. It's a great tool to be able to use for that. Next slide. So here's just another view of that same one with the overall progress. You can see how they're doing. The next one. And you can see this is how you're going to assign them. So we'll show you how you actually do this assignment part of that. But I'm going to pass it back over to Christy. But this is just a cool way to do some personalized, individualized test practice for the students to be able to do. So Christy, I'm passing it over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Shelley. And exactly, it's just a fantastic retention tool. And I was Shelley, I remember whenever I used to have note cards, and I would pass this note card, I know it, and this one I don't. And that's exactly what LearnSmart will definitely do for you. It is fantastic. Another thing that we thought about, in virtual learning and helping students to connect remote is the practice. So just to give you a quick overview of some of the reveal practice, because we know many of you were using this in print, and now you're switching over to digital. So we're going to take a minute and look and just share with you a little bit about the real math practice options that are available. So in middle school, the student edition, the online practice are basically a subset of the digital practice. So you may have already found these, but you'll see that there's different levels. Like there's Form A of the level practice, and that's going to contain a mixture of some of the questions found in the SE, but there's also going to be some additional new hot problems there. Form B, we call that for our approaching level students, and that contains a mixture of the skills questions found in the SE with a few additional new skills practice problems there. And then there's Form C, which is the beyond level practice, and that'll have a few mixture of the skills and application, and then there'll also be some new hot problems. So there's not a one-to-one matchup in the print versus the digital. So we wanted to make sure that we clarified that so you'll be able to see. Of course, many of you can probably already know that it will share with you that you can go in and edit and change and look at each and every one of these practice problems before you give it to your students. But I just wanted to clarify that. Now that's for middle school. So those of you that are middle school teachers, this might be a second. You might want to take out your phone and just snap a quick shot of this so you'll be able to see the different subsets there for middle school. I'm going to give everybody a minute for that. And Shelley, as I just want to reinforce, I think because you're the host and I'm not, I cannot see the chat or the Q&A. So just, let me know if we need to stop or slow down or something at that point.
I will do that.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so I'm going to count down 3, 2, 1, and then I'm going to move forward. And this is going to share with you the high school. So in the high school, the practice problems, there are a one-on-one matchup to the digital. Lesson form level A has the same question as print, but they are the evens, and there are several high order thinking problems there. Form B is where you'll find your approaching level practice, and they're the same questions in print, but there are the odds with a few of the higher order thinking. And then C will be the even problems with all of the higher order thinking problems. So know that, that's the difference there. So in high school, so you high school teachers, if you're out there, and of course it might be some middle school because this applies to Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2, just to give you ideas, and this is where you might want to go ahead and do a quick snapshot of this one as well. Okay, I'm going to count down my 3, 2, 1, and we have a little cheat sheet we can send you to on this. Also, though, there's some other great Reveal Math practice options that you may or may not have seen, and that is the spiral review. So whether it's middle school or high school, there's additional practice questions that will help review prior concepts. And know that you guys know that Reveal Math is getting bigger and better every day, and these spiral reviews are getting bigger and better every day too as well. So check those out if you haven't checked those out in a while. And then something that's brand new that came in January was that we have these additional new dynamic module practice. And these are additional practice sets that enable students to continue to try questions multiple times. So basically they're algorithmic questions. Fantastic practice problems for you there. So those are two options that are going to be in both middle and high school. And then there are some more practice problems. So you're just going to have all the flexibility and all different types of choices with Reveal Math. The practice options for the middle school and through Algebra 1, it's also what we like to call Take Another Look, or Shelley and I were talking about today, and she said, well, you know what, you could also call this Take a First Peek, because basically these are just a different presentation of the content. And they're usually about 15-minute little mini lessons. A lot of times they start with a little video, and then they'll go through an example, and then there'll be a practice problem or two. So it's just a great little mini lesson. And with the situation of this virtual learning that we are in now, this could be an excellent way to engage your students and help them through the mathematics. Now, Algebra 2 teachers and Geometry teachers don't, say, well, what's for me? Well, we also have a Quick Review Math Handbook embedded into the additional resources. So these Take Another Looks are through Algebra 1, but there are a quick review math handbook, and this is basically just to help students that need a refresher, mainly from their middle school skills. I used to think about it, now I'm going to date myself, but way back whenever I went to college, I carried around a little brown grammar handbook, and I carried that brown grammar handbook just about everywhere I went, whenever I was writing things and really working to just help me with my skills. And that's kind of the same thing here. This quick review math handbook is just a great refresher of the skills and can help those students that just need some basic refreshers. So that's some practice options there in the Reveal Math program. If you have the Reveal Math program, you also know that we make reference to ALEKS. And something that is super exciting, your district may have purchased ALEKS along with it or may have not. But now, in the situation that we're in right now, McGraw-Hill has a special COVID-19 offer. And this offer is for every single parent. So if you just go to aleks.com, and there is free access for a 2-month trial. And I know, Shelley, you signed your boys up for this, didn't you?
I did. I signed, I have one child that is in 8th grade, and I have another child that is in pre-calculus. And it has, you can choose whichever one of those courses you want your children to be in. So my 8th grader is actually in Algebra 1, and my older one is in pre-calculus. It goes from 3rd grade all the way up into those pre-calculus, and even if parents didn't want to use any of those courses in there, there is a prep for the ACT and a prep for the SAT course that you can do inside there. So as a teacher, if you guys already have ALEKS, you want your kids to stay in ALEKS because then you get the reports and you get all of that information. But if you have students who could benefit from ALEKS, and I'm going to be honest, I don't know of a single child who could not benefit from ALEKS, but if you had your kids actually log in and do that, they could take screenshots of their PI reports and send that screenshot to you as an assignment, and I promise you that you will see some tremendous growth with your students inside there. So if they're currently in your geometry class, you could tell them to go in and do geometry. They do an initial knowledge check, which takes them probably between 30 and 45 minutes, maybe even an hour to do that initial knowledge check. It'll be it'll be up to 30 questions. It's going to adapt to them, and then it's going to create their pie chart. And here's the thing. Around this time of the year, I might expect kids to be probably 60% through the content, maybe 70%, but they might not be. So if you get kids in there and all of a sudden they're showing in their knowledge that they're only at like 12%, that just means they have a lot of room to grow. And I'm going to tell you what, I looked at some reports the other day for a district who had kids. This is their district plan. The kids are going in and doing ALEKS. And I saw one kid was in there for 3 hours one week. He went from 12% of the class to 18% of the class, which has lots of little celebration moments inside there. He was very excited about that. The next Monday and Tuesday, he had already done an additional 2 hours inside there. And I'm going to tell you what, the teacher had not said you have to be in there that much time. This kid was just having so much success with ALEKS that they just did it. And I'm going to tell you, my own child, my one that's in pre-calc now, he's in pre-calc honors. He did Algebra 1 as an 8th grader. I actually paid him to do Algebra 1 on ALEKS. And that child went from telling me that he was going to be a high school history teacher because he didn't have a math and science brain like his mama. He went now to saying that he wants to either be a pharmacist or a surgeon. So I'm going to tell you, if you have kids at home, try it with your own kids. If you are advising students who are at home and they have access to something online, this is an amazing, I'm so excited about this offer. Okay, I'll stop.
Okay, it really is. We just both get so excited about it. The other key thing to remember is that there is no guess to success in ALEKS, and that the students, it's a great idea for them to have a notebook, and because they are going to be doing some calculations and some computations, paper and pencil. Same kind of story. I have nieces and nephews that are still that are school age. And so, of course, you know, Aunt Christy sent it out to everybody. And one of my nieces told me that they had to stop their 4th grader, and he had to come to dinner because he was doing so much in Alex that they had to make him stop doing Alex and come to dinner. And that's a 4th grade boy. So they do get excited because it gives them that success, because Alex focuses on what they know, what the student doesn't know, but most importantly, what they're ready to learn. So that's kind of exciting there too. So Shelley, I think we're ready to jump in. And as we knew, time was going to fly. So I think we might want to start, unless you have some questions, we might want to start with the dynamic problems real quick.
Okay, and I see one question here. It says, if the student completes all the topics in Alex, do they move up to the next grade? And the parent actually has the ability inside there. They can put them in any one of them. So the answer to that is pretty much yes. So if you have a student who is in 5th grade and they do all of that and they need to move up, they can absolutely move up and just grow their knowledge. So Alex will remediate and fill in any gaps that students have, but it will also accelerate the students inside there. So great question, and I really encourage you guys to try that offer that's there. So we are going to go online. So Christy, if you will pass it back to me. Let me see if I can take this back again, because I cannot show my screen. Oops. All right, I am now the presenter. Perfect. All right, so let me come up here, and I am going to show you my screen as soon as I can get this. So share Google Chrome. Okay, so
we see a 7th and an 8th grade and Algebra 1 student. So we're in the student view right now.
So we are actually, are we in student view? We are in student view. Let me go back to my teacher view that's here. And you should now see.
We do.
Georgia Algebra 1. You got that?
Yes.
Okay.
Ma'am, we do.
Right.
Thank you.
So if you're a teacher, when you log in, I just picked Georgia. I support all states across the U.S., but at the time I was thinking, you know, right now I would love to be in the Georgia mountains. So I picked Georgia today. So as I look at this, it went as a teacher. So what I'm going to show you right now is how you can assign to your students the dynamic module practice, or to be able to navigate and find some of the things that we showed inside here. So the easiest way that you can find those pieces is to go under where do you want to go. If you go under browse your course, and then you go down to whichever module it is. So what we were showing you were generally the resources that are at the modular level. So when we look underneath the module level parts that are there, as we scroll down and we look at those, Christy we had talked about the dynamic module practice. So the dynamic module practice is here, and this is a quick and easy way for me to make an assignment to my students if I wanted them to do all of the questions that are in the dynamic module practice. So I'm going to go, we're going to actually be a student in a second, and you'll get a chance to see what that looks like. But I can come in here and I can assign this to one student, to all of my students if I want to, but I can just make the assignment to the students from this point. But I'm going to show you how I would probably prefer to customize that a little bit. You'll also see as I scroll down, these were those different forms of assessment. Here is LearnSmart. So, and Christy, I'm going to kind of take over your part here.
We're tagging.
And be able to show how to assign this. So when you look at LearnSmart, so let's say that you wanted to, I've already assigned this one, so I'm going to come over here to where descriptive statistics is. So I come over to the side and I click in and I want to, I can see what it looks like to be a student as I'm going through. So you'll see that this looks like what the student report looks like, but this is where as a teacher that I can be able to get to my section reports. So I'm going to show you real quick. If I click this button that says assign, when I go into the assign mode that's here, you can only assign one chapter at a time. So I'm going to come down and I'm going to choose my descriptive statistics. And so, but I could have chosen any of those. So if you notice across here, I could choose any of these. So whatever topic you guys are working on right now with your students, whatever you're working on, you can actually go into
maybe the one that you worked on before you left school. You know, this is a great, just a review of.
Absolutely. So if you're in doing like expressions and equations, you can come into there. So then you can decide which of these topics. So maybe you want all of them, or maybe you just want 2 of these questions that are here, or 2 of these types of topics for them to work on. You can create that assignment for your students to do. So then when they log on, this is what they see. So for this, I'm going to tell them that they can get 100 points if they do this. And I can just click and assign that to my students to do. And then that's going to show up on the students' to-do list. So when they log on, they would actually be able to see that in the to-do list. So we'll take a look at that from a student perspective. In fact, I'll go ahead and switch over and show you that now. So when the students go into LearnSmart, when they log in, you notice right here, this is where those LearnSmart assignments are showing up. So the students can go into, they can click on any one of those assignments. So I'll go into that one that I just made on descriptive statistics. They click into LearnSmart, and then it's going to start to really kind of coach them from the very beginning. This is one of my favorite parts that you kind of flash there real quick, but it says it's okay to miss a question. That is one of my favorite parts of this, is that it tells them it's good to, you know, to realize that you're not expected to know all of this information as they go through. So here's my coach. She's coming up, and basically she's just telling them that they're about to start their study session, and that these are the 3 sections that your teacher has assigned to you. We're going to click OK, and then the students get a choice. How do they want to learn for that day? And this is one of the great tools that's here. So here's my learning missions. I can complete a main topic, focus on self-awareness, work on it for about 20 minutes, or complete a particular assignment that's in here. So if it was those parts that were there.
And if I can just jump in, I think that any of them that require about the 20 minutes, you know, I think in this environment, one of the things I've learned is that you want to cut like your time in half. So, I mean, that first one says complete a main topic about 55 minutes. Yes, they may have spent 55 minutes on this in your class, but at home, you know, I think we cut that expectation in half. So I think those 20-minute ones are excellent. I didn't.
Absolutely. So I'm going to choose, that's the one I'm going to choose, is give me 20 minutes to work. But I also want you to note this one, focus on your self-awareness. So this is for those kids, they get a little bit of chance to really kind of play with those. But we're going to go into this. So here, list the steps, order of steps when adding, and I'm going to be honest, I never know what the questions are that are coming up. So we're just going to read this one here. So the first thing that I need to do inside here would be to, so let's see, we're going to clear parentheses. Actually, I've got them pretty much in order, and I'm going to click I know it. And it's going to click submit, and of course I didn't know it because I didn't group my like terms and combine them first. So, but notice what it did. It now gives me some options over here. So a slide will kind of walk me through the procedure for exactly how to do it. So it's not like I just, oh, sorry, you got that wrong. It actually is giving some step-by-step in terms of how to do that. This one, subtract the polynomials and simplify. Notice here, they have to show their work. So they're kind of working down the page. I don't have time to do all that right now, so I'm going to just click submit. I'll click show the answer inside here. Notice this time I have an option that gives me a video that shows how to do it as well. So sometimes they are typing their answers into here. Sometimes they are dragging and dropping answers into here. They have a choice every single time of exactly what to say. It gives them instant feedback, but if you remember, what we said about LearnSmart is that it's saying you know this or you don't know this. So every time I'm clicking in here, it is making, it's making those decisions about what a student knows and what a student doesn't know. So we start to fill this. Can he finish factoring in this way? So let's see. So factoring will work from this point, and I'm going to say I know it. and I didn't read all the choices that were there, which is not good, Shelley. But now, so we have, you know, which ones have a factor of X is -8. But notice, I have not had the same question type repeat itself at all. So I haven't had the same question, I haven't had the same question type come up, and that is where really the power of all of this comes into play. These were those other things that I said that the students can do. They can recharge, which really just focuses on what do they need to focus on. This is that library of resources. Students can see their own reports, their own topic scores at any time, see how much time they've spent inside here. They can see their own self-assessment, so notice I'm not doing very well inside there. They can see their own tree of knowledge, which this is one of my favorite tools that we have inside here, is that students are all growing this tree. They all start, actually I've got nothing on the screen right now, but they all start as, usually there's a little small sapling at the very bottom, and I think it's just this, what my screen looks like, but they start as a little teeny tiny sapling, and as their knowledge grows, the tree starts to grow leaves and starts to grow branches, and at the end, they will have grown this. So they get a great visual every step of the way, and then the practice quiz is here too. So again, this is something where a kid could say, well, I want to show you how much I know. So I'd like a 10-question quiz on linear and exponential relationships. They start the quiz, and it does exactly what that student needs to work on. So that's where this really comes into play, where it really provides some personalized learning for your students. So if you think, that was pretty cool, I wasn't paying attention beforehand, how do I assign that to my students? You're going to go into, at any of the modular levels, you'll go in, you'll look under additional resources, you'll find LearnSmart, you click the word where it says assign, and then it will guide you step by step through exactly what you want to assign to the students. So that is one of my favorite pieces that's there. Chris, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, so I was talking with a teacher this morning, and she was telling me that they're having to check in every day. Students are having to check in and do some type of quick assignment so they can count for their attendance. And that's the first thing I showed her was LearnSmart. I said, because that way, you know, they're working on something that you can either assign it to them, a particular one, or you can let them do that self-study even, and let them assign it and feel like they're working. And you're not having, she was making step-by-step solutions for every single assignment that she was doing for them. And so she's like, oh my gosh, you mean they have the solutions? And I'm like, yes, they do. So I think that's one of the easiest, best ways for you to help your students virtually in this time.
Absolutely. Okay, so what I'm going to go to now is what can you do for an individual day-by-day kind of lesson kind of thing. So if I go to, let's go to Module 4, and we'll go to Rate of Change and Slope. Again, all of your resources are under here, but underneath the additional resources, this is where that Quick Review Math Handbook is going to be found. This is also where those take another look, and these were the ones that I said, and I actually, a teacher told me, she said, Shelley, in this crazy time that we have right now, we are not taking another look, we are taking a first peek. So that came from her. But if you know that your kids need to work on the slope of a line, or you haven't gotten to that this year and you're teaching that, if you go to the slope of a line, you can assign this directly to the students to do. So what does this actually do for the students? Well, it gives them some additional modeling tools that are inside here. So they're going to come into this, take another look, and like Christy said, sometimes there's an animation that starts off the very beginning of this, but they get an opportunity to model and to do some hands-on exploration. So while our initial ones do in our explore activities and our learn activities solidify it, this actually provides additional kind of, as if a teacher was sitting right beside them and kind of coaching them through exactly how to do all of these parts, and it's going to give that instant feedback that goes along with it. As you notice, I got that one right. I was able to read that one real quick while I was talking and doing that. So they get an opportunity to additional modeling, additional interactive practice, and then additional kind of checks that go along with it. So it's a great, great tool for whether you want to take another look or whether you want to take an initial peek with your students. That does give you that opportunity to be able to do it. And again, you can assign it directly from here, or let's say that you just wanted your kids to kind of be aware that that is there. You could just click to add it to the calendar and just kind of have it there as a tool for kids who might want to take an initial peek that goes along with it. But, you know, for today, Christian, I just really wanted to talk to you about some of the little key pieces that if she and I were in that same situation and we were trying to figure out, okay, so what do we do for our kids while we're trying to do this distance learning? And we don't want you to have to reinvent the wheel. We want you to realize that you have these amazing tools that are here. And so hopefully, you know, something has, you kind of thought, oh, I never thought of using it that way. That was kind of the intent of being able to do that. The other thing we wanted you to know is the homework practice forms. And remember, she was talking about homework practice A, B, and C. Those homework practice forms, if you assign those directly from within the lessons for them to do, if you assign the ones that have this little bar diagram that's right there, this will allow the students to complete those assignments digitally and give you some results from that. So I'm still a big proponent of, I still want them to write out their answers. They still have to be able to show me their work as they go through and do that. For many of them, you have for middle school, you have the Word documents, or for many of them, you have the Word documents that go along with that in terms of being able to print it out that way. So have your kids take a screenshot of it, have them complete the answers online, whichever way works best for you in that sense. So before I switch over to dynamic practice, I just want to check the chat box for just a moment. And I'm going to see if there's any questions in here and if you have any additional questions. And we have somebody with us from Myanmar, so thank you very much. So very exciting to see people from other places here. If students complete all the topics, we answered that one, let's see. 75% proficiency to move forward. I would say this was an Alex question, and should we move them up at 75%? I would say at this point in the year, I would probably try to get my kids more to an 85 to 90% before I moved them forward, would probably be my recommendation in that sense.
Exactly.
Somebody asked, if my students had never used LearnSmart, where should I start with them to learn how to use the program? In all honesty, it really walks them through. I mean, you guys got to see what it looked like to be a student. If you just tell them that what it looks like, or if next time you log on with your students, do it exactly the way that I just did that with you. So again, it's going to be under the modular level part that's there. So you're going to be at the module. And next time you log on with your students, tell them that it's going to show up as an assignment for them to do. But if you want to mimic the experience that the students are having, you can literally just click directly into this. Now I'm going to get an error because I think I have too many different chapters assigned inside there. But you can actually click directly into this, and your teacher notes will show up over on the side, but you can actually be able to show them exactly how to do that.
And one more question about that is that, do you don't stay on that screen, do you see where it says LearnSmart linear and exponential relationships? So know that this is a work in progress, so whenever you go to assign that make sure you choose that chapter, linear and exponential relationships, because there are, someone says there are a few chapters that are empty in some of the topics that were empty in LearnSmart. And so they're building it, and so make sure you choose that topic whenever you're in there to assign.
Okay, and Avi asked, are you guys using the Q&A section of this webinar? And so not right now. I will be sure to check that and get back to anybody who's asked a question that I didn't answer there, because I'm trying to kind of keep track in the chat. Is Reveal replacing Alex? Absolutely not. Alex is a great complement to Reveal, so they will kind of stand on their own. And I've only used Alex if I assign homework and they know how to find it as assignments. So there is not really a built-in tool for any of these in terms of them being able to do that. They just need to go through and just kind of follow the steps. Most of them have been pretty self-served inside here in terms of being able to do it. And Amy, I see a couple of questions have come up from you, and I promise to get you an answer to those. But what I do want to show real quick, because there's two things I want to show before the end of this webinar, is that if you go into roster, because some of you are asking about how to show it to your students, if you go into roster, you'll see your student names, and over here where this is something that's new, if you click over here on the side, you can emulate any of your students in your class. So if you go in and you emulate that student, keep this in mind, you are being the student. So if you complete their homework or you do something in LearnSmart, you are being that student. So that's one of the things that we just need to make sure that everybody understands, that we don't want you to go in and be your student as you are going through. So I'm going to go back into
your student will love you. Your student will definitely love you for completing their assignment. But yes, whenever you go in and emulate. Yeah, Amy, I just want you to know, Shelly, I tried to answer her questions while you were talking a while ago, and it won't let me send them. So we will get to you. I promise.
And I'm going to show you the last little part because this is pretty exciting. I'm going to go on the left-hand side down underneath assessments. And underneath assessments, one of the things that we have done, you'll see all your test banks are there. If you go into any of the practice item banks, if you go into a practice item bank and click in this blue area right here, it'll kind of reorganize all of them, and it will make the very first one be dynamic module practice. And what I want you to see about our dynamic module practice is that these are algorithmic questions that cover all of the content in any one of the particular modules that's there. And when we talk about dynamic practice, I'm going into student preview so you can see what this looks like. When students are inside here, they will go in and they will be asked to answer some questions. As they go through and they answer those questions, they can put the answer in, they can click check the answer, but if they're not sure how to do it, they can click over here where it says solution, and it just says you've losing your chance at answering that particular question. So in this case, they were to answer that one. We were talking about a problem that's there. They go back to the problem, and now they're going to be given a different problem. So notice they get an unlimited number of attempts to answer a question that is similar to this. And notice that there's little help things that show up over here on the side. So I'm just gonna, let's make this H equals, I'm gonna do 44 just because I know it's wrong. And I'm gonna click check answer. And it's gonna give me, it's gonna tell me that I was incorrect, and it gives me the correct answer that's there. And so I can try another question. So it's just gonna continuously give some additional questions. It'll eventually tell the kids, you know, you might want to not try as many of these right off the bat. But what I want to show you, because the fact that we have teachers asking us about that daily touch point kind of thing, I wanted to show you what you can do to make this something that just makes it a daily touch point for you. And that is to find the dynamic module practice that you want, maybe preview it and figure out which questions are best for you. Then I want you to come up here and I want you to call this dynamic practice, or whatever you want to call it. We're going to call this dynamic practice homework for, and I'm going to go ahead and make my assignment for next week, 4/22. Then I can come over here on the side and I am going to remove the questions that I don't want them to be working on. So I want to make this a smaller assignment for my students. So the reason why you have to remove these is because if you were to just try the option to create a new assessment from the main screen, and you were to add these dynamic questions onto something that you're making, it takes away the option, the opportunity for students to get their answer checked. So maybe I've dragged it, I'm going to narrow this down. I didn't pay attention to the questions that are there, but I'm going to narrow this down to just 4 questions. So I've got my 4 questions there. I click Save and Exit. Now, when my students log in, when they go into and look at their assignment, so again, let me come back in here as my student, and I go to my dashboard, or I look at my assignments that are here. I chose to, it's visual for them, or they can't actually see it at this point, but they go in and they just go straight to the dynamic module practice for whichever one of those lessons that it is inside there. What I want you to see is this. This is why I really like this part. If my students go in and do the dynamic module practice, you get some great reports. So here's one. I actually did this one a little earlier, and I can click on view my scores that are over here on the side, and I can see that, and I'm pretty sure I did this one. Okay, this one's in progress. So what is really cool about this is here's 3 questions I created on a dynamic module practice. Notice the kid got 100. That's perfect. I love for students to get 100%. But here's what I want you to notice. It tells me that it took them 4 times to get this question, this type of question correct. And I can see every single one of the attempts that the student made at answering this question. So they couldn't graph 2x minus 7, but they could graph y is equal to negative 3x minus 3. So I can see what the correct answer is. And I can see, so on question 1, it took them 4 chances. Question 2, it took them 2 chances to get it right. Question 3, they got it right from the very beginning. So you get some great results, some great information, and if I had to do a quick little touch point every single day, this would be my go-to. I would probably assign take a quick peek, take an initial peek at those, produce some initial instruction. I would teach class for the day. I would assign their homework, and then the days that maybe if I don't meet with them every single day, these are the little touch points that I would put in there and have the students go in and set those dates up for being able to do those. So again, if you like the idea of those dynamic practice questions, you do it from the assessment screen. You find those underneath your practice assignment banks. You click in here, it'll be the first one that's there, and the key with this is don't click new assessment and pull these questions over to that, because then you have dynamic questions that won't give students an answer. Just be sure that you click into it, that you call it whatever you want, and then you remove the sections, the questions that you don't want to use on there. So there's only usually between 14 and 20 questions on there. So you have to remove a couple of them, but it just makes a really good kind of user experience that goes along with that.
Yeah, really, it all goes back to being connected. And to me, that's the easiest way is through this dynamic practice. And I mean, I just want to reinforce 4 questions. Okay, that's great. It's a quick touch point. It's going to give the students their explanations, and but with these dynamic, it gives you a little control because you do see the type of question that your students are working on. Pair that with our Take Another Look from those additional resources at any lesson level, and you've got a winning lesson plan for every day of this virtual learning. So our time is drawing near. Shelley, I want to thank you so much for taking over and being the host. I'm so sorry I can't see any of the questions, but if you want to read any, or if we have any Q&A right now, I'm just at a loss on this end. Sorry about that.
So the questions are coming in about just some people have tried doing some of the things with LearnSmart, and they're asking about a little bit more customization. I just sent a reply to that one about what types of things we can do to make that a little bit better inside there. So I've gotten some good things. We'll actually print this chat out and share it with our tech people in terms of being able to answer those questions that are there. But is there any Are there any other questions? I did see something here about create kind of an initial tutorial for students built into their ALEX account. That is, when kids do first go into, you want it to be like the ALEX tutorials when they go into LearnSmart. That's a great suggestion, and so we will pass that one up to have inside there, or maybe Christy, you or I can do a quick little student video on LearnSmart.
Yeah, I think we can. That's something that we can definitely put on our to-do list, and and add that to there, definitely. So keep in mind also that you have your teacher at any place. You have your teacher added resources, and there, like for example, even just taking a quick picture of your pet maybe that you and your students talked about on a weekly basis or something, or just somehow, or I mean, mine was always football. They always my favorite team was, and so just putting up the little football logo and onto some of their assignments, you can add that as special instructions, just helping them somehow to stay connected with you, just making it personalized and letting them know that you we miss them so. This is tough times for all of us.
Absolutely.
Any other questions out there?
One last thing I want to show, Christy, because this was something that teachers had asked for, and it wasn't there before, and so I'm pretty excited to see it. One of the things that, and I just want to tell you guys this, those of you who are using Reveal, thank you so much, and thank you for the suggestions. You guys help us make it better all the time, and we actually had some suggestions from a teacher, a couple teachers that said it'd be really nice if we could see the actual print student edition. And so I want you to know that down here they've added this under the additional resources. This is the actual print student edition. So if you are trying to talk to students about a particular page that is inside their student edition, you can come over here, and if we're doing lesson 1.4 on the distributive property, you can actually pull up those individual student pages that are there. Just so you know, this little one right here switches to a single page view because I think that's a little bit easier to use, and then we can actually zoom directly in. But this is the exact same pages that your students have in their print book. So that's pretty exciting to have that actually showing up down here across the bottom, and just wanted to point that out to you.
Yeah. So once again, we just want to thank you for your time today. Please reach out with any additional questions. Your suggestions is what makes this program what it is today, just like what Shelley just shared. And so we'll definitely work on maybe a little LearnSmart video, and appreciate you guys. Thanks for, and Shelley, once again, thanks for taking over. I appreciate you. Don't forget to end recording, and we'll send this over.
All right, you guys, thanks. Have a great day. Stay safe. Keep washing your hands, and hopefully we'll see you in the schools probably in the fall. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.